The hospital hallways smelled like disinfectant, loneliness, and unspoken prayers. Rain tapped against the windows like trembling fingers begging to be let inside, and the night shift felt longer than usual. In room 307, beneath the soft flickering of a dim ceiling light, lay a man whose silent existence had become part of the hospital's forgotten routine. His name was Alexander Reed, once a well-known millionaire entrepreneur, a visionary businessman whose face once graced magazine covers, billboards, and motivational posters. Now, he lay motionless, eyes closed, disconnected from life except for the machines breathing on his behalf. 3 months in a coma, no family visits, no friends stopping by, no one checking in, just wires, tubes, and silence. Some said he deserved it, some whispered it was karma, and some simply didn't care. But everything changed when fate led Emily Carter into that very room. She was young, humble, kind, and new to the night shift rotation. Wearing an oversized white coat, holding her clipboard with slightly trembling fingers, and carrying dreams much bigger than her paycheck, Emily walked into room 307, unaware that her presence was about to rewrite a destiny that the world had already given up on. She stood next to his bed, gazing at the man whose achievements she once studied in motivational seminars she could barely afford. She touched his hand and whispered a silent promise, even though she didn't know why, that she would treat him not as a coma patient, but as a soul still breathing somewhere inside. Before we go deeper, if you believe in kindness, miracles, humanity, or second chances, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness. Your support keeps these emotional life-changing stories alive for the world. Emily began taking care of him with extraordinary compassion. She massaged his hands daily, gently bathed him, cleaned his wounds, changed his clothes, applied warm towels to his stiff limbs, and spoke to him as if he could hear every word. She told him about her life, how she lived in a rented room the size of a closet, how she worked 2 shifts to support her younger brother in school, how she secretly dreamed of studying abroad and opening a small care center for abandoned elders. She told him that she believed every soul deserved dignity, even when the world stopped watching. The hospital staff mocked her. Some called her overly emotional, others told her millionaires never change, and a few warned her not to form attachments to the hopeless. But she continued anyway. She believed healing was not just medicine, it was love, softness, and hope poured endlessly even into silence. Weeks passed. Emily made sure his room always smelled of warm lavender rather than chemicals. She played classical music near his pillow because she read somewhere that sound could awaken the subconscious. She opened the blinds in the morning so he would sense daylight, and she gently moved his fingers every night so his muscles wouldn't forget life. One night, after a 16-hour shift, she sat next to him feeling exhausted and defeated. Her paycheck was delayed, her landlord threatened eviction, her brother's school fees were due, and she didn't even have enough bus fare to get home. She felt tears roll down her cheeks as she placed her head gently on his arm, too tired to care about professionalism. She whispered brokenly that she wished she could save people not just medically, but emotionally, but she didn't even know how to save herself. She cried silently, unaware that her tears fell onto his lifeless palm. Suddenly, unknown to her, something shifted inside him, a flicker, a faint spark, a silent awakening hidden deep inside his unconscious world. For the first time in months, a tiny impulse moved inside his fingers, responding not to medicine nor machines, but to pure human compassion. The next morning, as she performed her usual warm water bathing routine, Emily noticed that his fingers were slightly curled rather than fully limp. She paused, confused, wondering if it was her imagination. She gently touched his face and whispered that it was okay if he was trying, because she believed in him. No doctor believed her observations, brushing them off as involuntary reflexes, but she refused to stop believing. She increased her care, doubled her interaction, and told him daily that life was waiting for him. Days later, on a cold quiet night, she entered the room humming softly. Rain poured heavily outside. She checked his vitals, covered him with an extra blanket, and began to talk again like always. She told him he was loved even if nobody came. She told him he was valued even if no one remembered. She told him the truth she believed: your life is more than your achievements. And then, the impossible happened. As she leaned down to moisturize his lips, his eyelids twitched. At first, she froze, her breath caught in her throat. Then she saw it again, a slow, struggling blink. Her hands began shaking. She whispered his name, scared to speak loudly in case it was a fragile dream. Suddenly, his lips moved, barely, but enough for her tears to burst free. She called the doctors, but for a few seconds, it was only the two of them suspended in a miracle that didn't need witnesses. The medical team rushed in, lights flooded the room, and after tests, measurements, and dozens of shocked murmurs, the verdict was clear: he was waking up. The news spread across the hospital like wildfire, leaving even the most skeptical staff stunned. But the real miracle wasn't that he woke up, it was how he woke up. When Alexander's mind slowly regained consciousness and memory fragments returned, he didn't remember his success, his empire, or his wealth. He remembered one thing: a voice soaked in kindness. A voice that talked to him when no one else did, a voice that washed his lifeless body, a voice that believed he still mattered. His first full conscious words came 2 days later, spoken slowly, painfully, but clearly: "Where is the girl who stayed?" Emily entered his room with tears in her eyes, unable to believe he remembered her. When he saw her, his weak eyes filled with emotion, and although he could barely speak, his heartbeat monitor revealed the truth: he felt something. She didn't stay long because her shift was ending, but before she left, he whispered, "You saved me." Recovery took weeks, but Alexander transformed from a hardened businessman to a humble soul discovering life differently. He learned about Emily's struggles quietly through other staff members, and instead of revealing his wealth immediately, he chose to observe the truth behind her kindness. She never once asked for help, money, recognition, or reward. She still rode the old bus home, still ate cafeteria leftovers, and still treated every patient, rich, poor, old, or rude, with the same gentle hands. One snowy morning, after gaining enough strength, Alexander requested a wheelchair and asked to visit the roof. With staff assistance, he waited there until Emily completed her shift. When she walked onto the rooftop, confused but curious, she saw him with a sealed envelope, a warm blanket, and a soft expression no one had ever seen on his face. He told her that while his memory was damaged, his soul remembered every moment she gave him hope. He said he learned that real wealth was not stored in banks, it was stored in hearts. He handed her the envelope and asked her to open it. Her hands trembled as she tore it open. Inside were multiple documents: a full scholarship for her to pursue advanced nursing and elder care studies abroad, a legal contract making her the head of a new foundation he planned to create, and a signed order clearing every financial burden from her family, including her brother's education until graduation. Emily fell to her knees in disbelief, but he gently placed his hand on hers and told her that miracles are not accidents, they are responses to unseen kindness. The foundation they built together was named the Gentle Hands Project, dedicated to supporting low-income caregivers and abandoned elderly patients. It grew beyond borders and became known as a place where forgotten souls found dignity again. And the greatest miracle wasn't Alexander waking up, it was that Emily's love awakened humanity inside him, forever changing his purpose. If this story touched your heart, please don't leave silently. Before you scroll away, like, comment, share, and subscribe to Whispers of Kindness, so more souls may be inspired by love, compassion, and unseen miracles. Special request before we end: please comment below. I believe kindness can save lives.